Good day, Market Chameleons, and everyone joining for the first time. Thanks coming by and watching the live market show with Ryan Mastro of OptionsRobot. Before we get started, let's take a look at the shared disclaimer. Please be aware that neither Market Chameleon, Ryan, or myself are registered investment advisors or a broker-dealer. If you're searching for investment advice, please reach out to a licensed professional. This webinar, as all our webinars, are for informational purposes only. Take one last look at the disclaimer, and let's welcome Ryan to give us a little insight on what's going leading in this last hour of the market. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good. Let me share your screen. There we go.
Yeah. So it's kind of a tough market here, right? We had let me just kind of go over to the robot here. and we move this out of the way. And just look at the spiders real quick. It was a kind of a down day here, right? So we saw the market gap down on pretty much across the board, right? Almost everything. Even your crypto is really still down here. So here's your Qs. It's actually positive one day. That's a good sign. IWM, again, positive in the sense that it's at least above the open. Diamonds are, again, kind of blah right now. You go to something like the IBIT for your Bitcoin, it just does not look good at all. So it's just a lot of continued selling. I really think there's something to the MicroStrategy story that Wall Street is kind of trying to out to get them, right? Basically trying to get that order flow into that Wall Street has control of it versus someone like MicroStrategy is doing this whole business. So they want the fees out of that. So I think that's definitely something that is the rumor mill that JP Morgan's been short a ton of them, basically going after them and try to kind of crush their business. So we'll have to see how that continues to play out, but that is definitely on the hook there. We did see coin down pretty ugly here today, but I think for the most part, you start to look across the board, it really comes back to the semis. And for the most part, they're looking decent, right? They gapped them down this morning, ran them back up, so they're poised to really start to go. NVIDIA, obviously one of the biggest names in there from a market cap perspective and from a revenue perspective. They are, again, a big gap down, but a nice reversal. So this would be called a bullish engulfing reversal to the, basically looking like if we can start to take out some of these other levels, like the 100-day, some of these swing highs, this could be really, really interesting. So I would definitely keep that on my radar. There's plenty of names in there. Something like an LRCX is, again, similar. We can start to take that out. I know I mentioned the names for the storage last week. MU definitely looking very interesting. AMAT looking very interesting. You go into some of those storage names like WTC, which is Western Digital, or Seagate Technology, which is STX on the symbol. And even a little bit more volatile, which is the SNDK. This is one I think if they can start to retake maybe some of these upper levels, that could get very, very interesting. So with that being said, let's get into and look at our market here a little bit from what's going on in the unusual activity. And silver, to me, I've been hitting this with you guys for a while now. I think you guys I made it clear. Hopefully everyone that in the last several webinars or videos that we've done, you guys can see how strong silver has been from where we started to talk about it. SLV down a little bit here, at least in terms of the market sentiment, but I think that is wrong. I think this should be bullish because of how bullish the market is right now in silver. If you go over to SLV from a chart perspective, there's nothing bearish about that, right? From that perspective, maybe some of the paper is from what they're reading in terms of that sentiment, but this is just absolutely crazy how strong this looks in terms of the SLV. So that's trading, very, very strong. We looked at, I think I mentioned a couple names like Hecla to you guys. That continues to outperform. A CDE continues to look pretty good. That's still down. That to me has probably got a pretty good chance to, maybe retake some of these highs, maybe fill the gap there. You look at something like Pan American Silver, which is PAAS, and this one, again, taking out highs, starting to look very, very strong. So another one we were looking at was AG, right? So that looks very interesting. I think the other one was XEXD. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm wrong on that symbol. But regardless, the silver plays, you could get even to some of the gold plays, and they're starting to look okay. But you look at this from a pattern perspective. If you were to say, draw me a triangle, and you can say kind of something like that, starting to get very, very interesting. So we start to take out the height of this triangle right here, maybe this move. That high there is 93.98. Then you're basically saying, okay, if that starts to go, you should be able to expand outside of this triangle in a much bigger way. Height of this is something like 98 to, let's call it 75. Let's make my math real simple, of 20. So could you get another $20 to the upside of this pretty easily? So that would be something I'd be watching in terms of just the overall market. Here's a couple other names. Goldman has been very, very strong, giving a little bit back today. MDB, I'm not touching. It does have earnings tomorrow night. That is a Amplified Junior Miners. That one could be on the radar there. It's overbought. Don't get me wrong. It's overbought. I understand that, but I'm still bullish on everything that's going on. Here's Pan American Silver, CDE. Maybe it was EXK was one, the Endeavor. So that one, getting a little bearish sentiment there on that one. But ANF has been unbelievably bullish. That continues to outperform. Not really seeing anything that jumps out that I'm really watching. Just going to the next page here. Volume starts to dry up here, but nothing. Akamai, there's a couple names in here that are interesting, but let's go over to our other screener over here, and we can see some of the names. So let me go back to page 1. Obviously, this is going to be sorted by largest volume, and I think it's sorted by largest volume, or maybe it's, I think it's largest volume here. So, but either way, or maybe it's market cap. I'm not sure exactly how this is sorted, but either way, you got the big weighted names up here. NVIDIA has a good reversal going on, as we already said. I think Google, we talked about last week or the week before, and Amazon, we talked about the week before. They've done very, very well. So just to take a quick peek at those in terms of the charts, Google, right, you can see that has done very well after its news. They basically sold back off in a little bit, but it's still holding together. So they did a deal with Amazon to be able to exchange their data back and forth very easily. I think Amazon's gotten the better end of this. So it looks like, they're trying to rally, but they're not back up at the highs yet. So we really need to see Amazon get going a little bit. Cyber Monday today, Black Friday. I'm sure they're going to have blockbuster numbers in terms of, what's going on there. AVGO is looking okay. That's pulled back a lot today. I'm just trying to look down through this. Berkshire, Lilly's been on fire. Again, I'm not going to recommend anything like that because it's been so volatile and so really strong. Netflix. Now, Netflix is a very interesting one. Let me just kind of get into this a little bit, because Netflix, I think, again, because of the 10-for-1 split, starting to look kind of interesting here in terms of taking out levels and starting to look pretty interesting on the chart. So can it get back up through this blue line, trend line down there? Can we start to take that out? So this would be one. I would probably use the high of the day. So high of the day right now, let's just check that out before I leave the chart here. High of the day is 109.14. So let's just do a quick entry bot on that one and say, oops, greater than, so greater than, and what was our high? Sorry, candle daily there. So 109.14. So 109.14. I'm going to say I want to buy and an option, and I'm just going to say I'm going to buy the 109s is fine. So I'll do that for a quick. So me just putting this in. So I set up an entry bot that allows me to get in, so I don't have to sit here and monitor it. And then I want to set up, I believe this has I think it's about a $4 or $5 ATR. So I'm going to use this one. So what this says basically is, if the stock goes up by more than $2, I want to roll my option. So again, that's going to be a pretty good job. And if I look at it from its entirety, let me just try to zoom in, scale this a little bit so you guys can read it actually. And this has built-in stops to it that I built. So basically says if it goes up by $2, roll. If it goes down if my option goes down more than 30%, just get out of the option. So I do that multiple times. Again, this is something you can't do on any other platform. So if you're going to do it, the roll, it would go into this box. This box says if it goes up by another $2, roll again, built in my stop. If it goes up by another $2, get me out of the trade. Just close it out and be done. So that means the stock moves up by $6. and I can get out of the trade. That means going from 109 to about 115, and I think we got some pretty good resistance up there. So that's not too bad. Again, I can pause these at any time. I see the market really start to go nuts. I can click my pause button, and it will pause all of my bots. All I have to do is click pause, and it would go into here to stop everything, right? It would stop my stops as well, but I can go back and uncheck those if I want to kind of keep those going. So I can just say, leave my stop. Don't take me out of my put, right? So that's something, I'm sorry, don't take me out of the call, but I basically have the stop in there. So I basically can just pause this, or I can just let it go and start to replay that. So that just kind of keeps going. All right, so it looks like I did it go back above? So it looks like it may have filled an order in there already. So I'm in that trade already. And now my options are live in there. So let's just go back and see if we can find another opportunity here. Working my way back, I wanted to go down ASML. Now, ASML I thought was interesting. This got brought up to as a question today. How do you play the upside on this? And just to come back to this one, ASML, I think, again, that was just found in the Market Chameleon screener there. And again, depending on your criteria. Now, most people may not be looking for $1,000 stock to trade. I'm not, right? But I think it's very interesting that you're up near the highs here and it's about to break out. So how can you trade this without breaking the bank, right? Options are pretty crazy in terms of expensive. So how do you trade this? Now, to me, I'm not going to go out real far because I don't really believe that I want to spend a lot of money on something and hold it for a long period of time, or that the trend's going to stay there and be persistent. So for me, I'd probably go out to maybe next week and say, what if we do something like a call vertical or a call butterfly? I like the call. I'm not sure why that popped up. Let me move that back down. So the call, let's see, if I go in and do, well, let's go back to the charts for 1 second. And ATR on this is about $30. So one full day of upside is about $30 of movement. So I want to, if I'm going to play something right here, we're currently trading right around 1090. So if I'm going to trade something, I want to go give myself at least one full ATR. So let's do let's do this a little bit differently than normal. So let's look at a simulate. And I'm thinking a call butterfly could be interesting. And I don't want to do that. I want to cancel that, hit the wrong button. Come over here to a call butterfly and do long call butterfly. Now, by default, it sets me up right around the at the monies, right? So that's kind of by default. I can change that default if I wanted to, or I can just do my slide. Now, for me, $30 up, I would probably want my center strike to be at least $30 up. So if I move that up to like the 1120s, and then I move up my, let's see, they don't have 1150s. So what if I go out? Which expiration am I in? That's the question. I'm in deck 19. How about the 12s? They do have 1150s there. So if I go 1120s, go 1150s, and do the at the monies here for the 1090s, that's going to cost me $4.45. So that's not bad, right? So something like that could be one that if I like the upside, and here's what happens. If it goes up and between now and next week, right, basically by the 12th, right, this Friday is the 5th. If I go out to next week, it's the 12th. If I go all the way up and have a nice little run, a follow through in any way, this could be one that looks very interesting. So something like this, I'm not going to do an entry on this. I'm just going to put a bid in on this. So let's see, I want to go scroll all the way up, and I want to do this for midpoint on that, try to get this filled at a midpoint. And I actually don't want to do it in there. I want to do it in my paper account. So if I do that, it's going to refresh here. So it's in my paper account, just so midpoint, and then I'll place that order. So that one will be in there and be ready to go. So that one, and then what you want to do is create an entry or an exit bot to create it. So there's no real custom ones for this one, so you can create your own. Typically, I would do that around the stock. So if I get anywhere near the mid price where I want to take this off, I would do that. And let's just do, if the stock is greater than Our midpoint is 11.20. So if I say 11, 11, I'm going to say anywhere close. Let's just say 11.20. We'll keep it there. Then I want to basically just exit all, just get out of my position, and I'm going to do that for midpoint because I know it's going to be significantly more money, and I will just create an exit on that. Now I can go in and try to, be very specific about it. I could do that. Now the other way to do that is if there's other ways to kind of look at managing this. So I can add an or in, and I can say if I can say option value on any one specific of them. I can also say if the stock drops down below a certain level and says, all right, if I go down below, let's say 1080, right? If I drop below 1080, I just want to get out of the trade. So I want to exit all, right? I'm going to do that at mid-market as well. So I'll do that. So basically I have, if it goes up, I'm going to basically take some profits off. If it goes down, I'm going to take a loss and just get out of the trade. Now I shouldn't lose too much money by the stock going down roughly $10 on a big wide spread like that. So maybe I lose $1, right? Not the end of the world on something like that. But I like the, when you look at simulating that from an out of the money option. So rather than being, let me just highlight that for you. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Let me go back over to our positions in here, ASML. And I can look at the risk management here. So there's my risk management on it. Again, if I can let this thing decay just a little tiny bit where I can get through, maybe even by Friday, I'll have a nice little score on this. So again, we're getting into this option spread for roughly 420. And let's just look. I just want to show the differential here for people that are looking to trade. The at the money's out there. Just zoom in on that for you. Oops. Hopping around. So the at the money's in the, nope, I didn't want to do that. Too far out. So at the money's out here, right in here. Well, right at the monies are going to be the 1090s the other way, right? 1090s. They're $27. So $27 versus $4.20 that we got into that option. Now I'm not in yet, still pending on getting filled on that. But so again, I just like the idea of having a lot less capital at risk. Even a call vertical, I'm spending a good amount of money on to go like a 1090 to a 1020. I'm still spending $20-some for that call vertical, right? So that is, again, pretty expensive to trade. And if the market does go to crap tomorrow and everything falls out of bed, the most I can lose is what I put into it, which is at $4.20. So that's something I do like. So, I don't know if you have time for any more, Will. I know we had to adjust this. So
yeah, you can give a couple more ideas, Ryan.
So yeah, let's kind of just keep working down through this in terms of what else is moving now. Again, or if there's anybody that has a stock they want me to analyze, I'm happy to do so. Palantir has been on my radar mainly because it's been such a good, strong name. But recently in this market, it's been really beaten up, right? So let's just look at that. And Palantir, let's go over to the charts here real quick. So Palantir, from a kind of a beatdown perspective, I like the potential if we can get this thing start to go, right? So again, you're going to make that decision exactly what that is for you, whether it's the high of yesterday, maybe it's that red line, which is the 100-day, depending on how aggressive you want to be. But can they start to come back? And I look at this as almost a gauge for speculation. Is there something, in the market where they're going to start to come back for some of these beaten down names and start to jump into those? So, these could be interesting. The other space I want to quickly talk about, actually, let's just do a quick trade on this one. So high of the day here is 169.08. So let's just look at a quick bull trade on that one. Entry bot. I'm going to try to do this fast. Greater than 169. I'm going to say like 15. So it's got to get above. Add an option. I'm going to do the out of the money. So 170s on that. Do a quick mid or do a quick there, create. And I'm just going to do, so again, you can set these up very, very quickly. So now I have I have an entry bot and I have an exit plan already in place, right? With stops already built in. So I hope you guys appreciate the speed at which I just set that up, because you can't, for you to go to put in 6 different orders in your broker to do that, it would take you about 5 minutes at minimum, right? To say, I want to put this stop in, I want to then roll. And you can't do it because you wouldn't be able to put in your multi-layers like we have in here in terms of OptionsRobot. So that's, very important to understand. So that is one. The other space I wanted to quickly mention that I was on my radar, I started to see some things pop up. Multiple people start to talk about it. And something like your energy space. Some of these names are really starting to pick up. There's Valero, Devon Energy. I saw this one. I thought this one was very, very interesting. Starting to look very, very poised for bigger moves. Now, crude really isn't going anywhere, right? And some of your bigger names, maybe not as strong, like an XOM or a Chevron. They're not really moving quite yet. But Devon was interesting. And some of the smaller names, not quite yet on Halliburton, really doesn't have my eye yet. Schlumberger, it's getting close. But Baker Hughes, I thought was poised, right? Baker Hughes up, taking out these highs. From a pattern perspective, I think that looks very, very interesting, right? Again, if I were to start to draw lines underneath of this and, start to draw your trend lines and say an ascending triangle up top here, it looks very interesting. So I probably use the high back here is 50.93. The high of the day today was 50.92. So that 50.93 is very relevant in terms of that. So I'd probably put another one in here as a potential call buy. It doesn't move around that much. It's only moving about $1.40 a day, but give yourself a little bit of time on this thing. This could work out pretty well. So I'd probably do like an entry bot on that, but I'd use a further out option. So Baker Hughes through the high of the day. And that's going to be, and again, I got to adjust this. I got to get that default change. Sorry. Go back and save my defaults differently. High that was at 50.93 was the old one. So let's just say it's got to take out that high and stay above there. So like 50.95, and we're going to add an option. I'm just going to give myself some time on this one. So 12.19 is probably not bad, and I don't mind buying the 50s. So I'm just going to do those for quick and do a create, and I'll do roughly the same thing. I'm going to do a 2 rolls and exit with my stops in there. So again, all of my things are already set up. Again, I can adjust those rolls to be $2, $3, $5, however I want to do those, or put them in one of the other custom templates, or however you want to set it up. So all pretty done very fast for you.
All right, we did have a question coming in about Costco, COST.
Yep, Costco has been a pretty volatile trader. So we not only did we look at that on the downside a couple of weeks ago for this move, I was not expecting the massive rally in here. Now, and I don't like how this is defaulted there, but trend unfortunately has been to the downside, right? So I think you guys, can see that if I make it a brighter color to make it a little bit more apparent. There you go. It makes it a little bit easier to see for you. So that's been kind of your downtrend. So again, I think the 2 problems with this. One is expensive to trade, right? It's a $900 stock. It's not that the implied volatility is high. It's that it's just a very, very expensive stock. Now, I do believe this has earnings coming up. And that's one of the things we're getting into this system is being able to show earnings on the chart so you can see where it is, but I don't have it in here right now. So I believe they're coming up here, and that's definitely one I'd be a little bit cautious of. I would not be looking to play earnings. If you look over at something like Walmart, that's done very well in the last couple of days. Target has even been doing okay. Here's a weird one. Abercrombie and Fitch, earnings, jammed it up, and they absolutely love it. This thing's absolutely insane. Another one to keep on your radar, AEO, is American Eagle. I believe they are coming out with earnings. Maybe this week at some point. Another one with earnings, I believe tomorrow night or tonight, is MDB. That's pretty wild, along with Crowd. So these are just earnings names we're not touching at the moment. Wait to see how these all play out. But Costco, on my radar, but I'm not really that excited about it because of the earnings. And I need to see if I can clarify when their earnings are. They're expecting to be, let's see, December 12th. So next week. That is, nope, that's not right. I apologize. previously.
I
December
have
11th. I
projected
apologize.
December 10th through the 15th. They haven't announced. Actually, I'm showing December 11th.
December 11th for the earnings.
After
Yeah.
the
So I
market
think you
closes.
just want to shy away from that. If you want to play it till then, that's a whole different story. And know you're going to try to run it into earnings and see if they can continue to kind of push into there. That's one thing, but it does look interesting, kind of button up against the trend, maybe takes out the 50-day. You do got resistance over here on the high. That's 928.89. So again, you got some really good looking chart if it can keep going. But your red candle today, again, with the market, not that big of a deal. It's recovered. It's pretty much unchanged on the day. So I don't mind it. Maybe use the high of the day and play for the 50, play for the high, play for another, work your way up through the highs up to the 100-day. But again, I don't know if I want to play for earnings. Just options got to be pretty expensive there, right? So I think that's just one I'd be shying away from because of that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Ryan. Thanks for bringing us another episode of Options Robot and what you're thinking about in the marketplace. Any last comments about Options Robot to the Chameleon community? Anything else for them?
It's Cyber Monday, so let's do a Cyber Monday deal. We do have the turkey deal, but let's do a 50% off Options Robot for Cyber Monday. I'll go in and make the code Cyber, so CYBER. So if you are interested in being able to use the platform, you can get the 14-day trial. And again, I will recommend, you don't have to, but I would recommend if you are interested, sign up for the annual package. It's a one-time only coupon. You get a 50% off on an annual package. Is a huge deal. So that's going to give your best bang for buck. So yeah, I appreciate your time, and hopefully people got some value out of it.
Always do, Ryan. Always do. And thanks for joining us an hour early. It was kind of cool doing it during live.
I love
hours.
doing it. You want to keep it this time. It's great for me in the market. I love seeing the live data.
Yeah, very cool. We'll try next week then, 3 o'clock as well. All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining. Thanks, Ryan, for doing this. Everyone have a great, safe trading day out there, and we will see everyone hopefully tomorrow for Dimitri Live, 9 a.m. Thanks, Ryan.
Take care.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.